you got a backed up sewer line.
Yep.
Jetting versus snaking.
Jetting is basically a pressure washer that goes down your line and cleans it out, right?
Yep.
But we have to get it cleaned out so it'll take the water first.
Because if you're blowing water into the pipe, you're filling it up even more.
So generally we go in there with a snake first and poke around to try and get through the obstruction.
Interesting. So do as much as you can with a snake because you don't want to add more water to
an already saturated job.
Interesting. That's something you never really think of. So there's a difference between snaking and jetting, and you want to start with snaking and then move on to jetting.
Or like the jammed up toilet, you could just flush it again and hope it goes down.
And keep it going. Yeah, keep it going. What other what else in sewer that people don't think about?
Grease. Grease is just a huge problem.
Grease.
Yep.
So people put the stuff down, their garbage disposal, it works its way down.
It's not only the stuff, it's anything you can cook with, like let's just say oils, fats. The state calls it in the septic class fog, fats, oils, and greases. It's bad. It's bad for your pipes. It clogs them up. As you know, when grease cools off, it gets hard, it gets solidy. It tends to scale or build up in your pipes over time.
Think of like that bacon grease when you get done cooking it, it's all liquid, but then when it cools off in the pan, it's nice and white and kind of hardened.
Plus there's weird soaps and stuff too, isn't there? Like
soaps can do that. Yep. Soaps.
Yep.
Solids. You do not want to put solids down your drains.
No solids, no hair either, because hair with those solids is bad news.
Yeah. Hair is a binder.
So
locks it up.
So at what point you got a route going through the sewer, and this route or you got a handful of routes going? How do you handle that?
Well, there's special attachments you put on a snake that, a snake spins in your sewer basically, and you can put like a saw type attachment on it that will cut through and eat the roots up so that it can flow freely and pass through there.
Is there like a risk if I've got cracks then where these roots
There is
were?
a risk because wherever the roots are going through, you have a small crack where that root can grow and feed off of. So, and that could be just old pipe. It's not that good a pipe that's not sealed. That's the benefit of doing a full replacement or a sleeve job, is that the new pipe is all sealed. It's glued together and sealed so those roots aren't able to find their way to a liquid source.
Sewer. So if I have roots coming through my sewer line and I need repair, maybe I need you guys to come on. Is that stuff usually covered by insurance, or is this something you're usually paying? You got to pay out of pocket for, right?
Generally, you got to pay out of pocket for it. Most insurance companies' stance is as soon as it leaves the house, and even below the floor, that's on the homeowner, right? That's not necessarily an insurance claim.
Absolutely. So you guys also handle? Will homeowners have to mess around with the city? Like, what kind of rules are there, and what are some things that you guys do to make the repairs smooth and I don't know, what kind of messing around is it?
The city usually gets triggered when it comes to digging something up and having to pull a permit. We have to call in for utility locates to see where things are in the yard. The city will come out and mark the curb stop. The utility companies, like a cable TV company, will come out and mark their line in the yard. So we'll definitely have to inform the city when we're doing that. We'll have to put in locates, and then once we get past the city's process, potentially a permit and the locating, we can dig the front yard up.
Interesting. What other stuff do people not think about when it comes to sewer backup? Like, is the water dangerous? Is it?
It can have bacteria in it, and you do not want to obviously touch and or lick or bloodborne pathogens in your eyes or anything like that. Yes, it is technically dangerous. It's not a clean water source coming out of the sewer.
If someone goes into their sewer and they can kind of see down in there, should it be wet, or should it, the drain that they have in their basement, is that usually, where does the water come up? Where do people typically have problems when they need sewer line?
In a floor drain.
In the floor drains?
It starts as a floor drain, right? The pipe comes from the street into the house, right? And then it's trapped, so you don't get any of the odors. So a trap is essentially a drain, and it's a loop joint. So the water fills that loop, and it doesn't allow the gases to come through that water. But as it fills up, the water goes and it goes over the top of that loop and then down into the pipe. But if that pipe backs up, then that trap backs up and the water comes up through the lowest drain in the house first.
Okay, so you'll usually see it. That's usually in your utility room. type of deal.
If you know what you're listening for too, a lot of times you'll get a funny gurgle out of your floor drain,
Okay.
which is kind of odd, but it happens.
Okay. Interesting.
Like let's say you flush a toilet, it'll make a funny kind of bubbling, gurgling noise.
And that
And that's
means-
basically just the pipe overloading itself into that trap that's forcing the air out of that pipe.
Okay. So if I'm flushing my toilet and I'm hearing weird gurgles, that's a sign that something your sewer pipe is blocked, or can it be that you just don't have the proper slant to everything too? Like does
Very well
ground
could be.
just shift?
Very well could be. Your pipe could have a dip in it, and we can tell when we send a camera through the pipe. Generally, the camera will go swimming for a little short period of time and then come back out of it.
So when you come from a dry pipe and then into a low spot, you go into that water and then you can come back out of it. And that
Okay.
would tell you there's a crack or...
Usually where that low spot is where the solids will sit and start plugging and obstructing what's coming through that pipe.
Okay. What are the big telltale things that make you go from, hey, this is manageable, or we reline it, to where we're going to start digging and replacing?
Depends on the length, depends on the age, depends on the
Tell me
type
about
of
the
pipe.
length. What do you mean by length?
Well, if it's a short or long run, obviously a longer run adds up more.
That section of pipe, you mean? Or
In that section, or let's just say we're going to go for a full pipe replacement, I mean, we have to figure in the factors of what's economical versus what's a long-term fix, short-term fix.
yeah.
So if their house is, say, 75 or 125 feet off of the street, which is where the main line normally is, that might be a different kind of fix than it is if they're, let's say, 30 feet off of the street.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.